All right, guys, just going to continue with this project now, and going to go ahead and take the motor off, and I'll at least remove this bearing and probably take the hoop off, the pedal hoop, but I won't bore you guys with all that. Okay, guys, so just kind of got things apart here. Obviously, you can see the fork that drives the clutch in, just the return spring here. This I thought was a Babbitt bearing, but I realized it's not a Babbitt bearing. But I do think it's like solid brass. And I just think that little bit of play that's in there is just what's going to be in there. So we'll look at the pin that goes onto in a second. This is just the bolt or the stud that goes through the base over here, just right there, and that holds the pedal, the hoop pedal on. I'm gonna recommend machining a new part here. This is it's kind of hard to see it in the video. Get the wrench out of the way. Kind of hard to tell in the video, but it's bent both ways. I was thinking at first, I could just put some washers on that to tighten that up, but I think just machining the part with a little bit longer shoulder to take up that slack will be the better option. This is the pin that holds the fork on to the machine, and this one's not in that bad a shape at all. I would recommend maybe a new nut. It does have this sleeve shim around it. And I don't know if I'm going to do some research and find out if that sleeve shim is supposed to be there so it stays greased and it moves in there. Or if that was just shimmed because the holes wallowed out. I'm not sure. So just the bolts that hold the motor on, obviously, the one bolt that was there. Gonna machine some parts for that, just the motor. And then the hoop itself has a little bit of an issue. Up here. So the hoop itself has kind of an issue here. So right here, that is damn near cracked all the way through. Let's see if I can tilt it. So that's a pretty significant crack right there. That's going to need to be cut out of there and welded. No big deal. But the hoop itself is a little cattywampus. See if I can show you guys. It's kind of tough to tell on the video, but it's bent. That one goes that way, this one goes this way. I can just heat this hoop up and bend it back into shape. No big deal. Here's something interesting over here. There is, so this plate that has these two nuts on here that are forcing the motor this way, it's actually brazed on. Really interesting. The rest of it is regular weld. This is all regular, just weld here. And they did a pretty good job. These slots are torch cut. I'll probably clean these up a little bit with a grinder. But this plate, I think, should just be cut off and a new plate put on, because, let me see if I can get the shot here. These bolts aren't even, like, this bolt's in the front of the plate, this one's kind of in the middle. And it's tough to tell on the camera, but they're kind of cattywampus on there. So I think they should be better straight on, right? Especially because I'm gonna have a bolt that's gonna come out here. It's gonna have a machined end, and then there's gonna be a block that has a hole drilled into it that's gonna receive into that. And that block is then going to have another flat tab on it where it's gonna go over the stud that holds the motor. So that way when you tighten the bolt here, it'll spin, there won't be any threads on the end, and it'll engage that machined part that's going to be over top of the stud for the motor. And then we can drive these at the same time, at the same speed. That's really nice. That's in really good shape. That's not bad at all. That's recently poured. Not bad at all, as a matter of fact. Oh, another really nice Babbitt bearing, boys. No cracks. All right, guys, just getting ready to lift the clutch and flywheel off of here. Got it set up on the engine hoist. So just getting ready to lift it out. All right, so free and clear here now, and let's get our first look down into these Babbitts. They look pretty good. A little bit of scarring here. I don't think that's enough to re-pour though. These are in really good shape, so just gonna get this over onto the table. All right, guys, so here's how we're looking. Just got this sort of apart, got the flywheel off here. This brake bearing surface looks like it's in good shape. I'm gonna clean it up. I think that this machine wins the award for greasiest machine ever. but yeah, this is how we're looking. This is what the machine looks like, stripped down basically to the raw casting now. So that's how we're looking. I wish that the weather was a little better here in upstate New York, and otherwise I'd take this thing and pressure wash it. But with the temperatures we've been having, that's just impossible. There's just some of the grease that came out of there. It's still pretty daggone greasy. I'm gonna get more of it out. This is also cleaned up somewhat. You can see the bearing surface that engages the brake material here is in great shape. I spun it all the way around. It looks good, and just needs to be cleaned up. All right, guys, so just a little update here. Just got everything kind of provisionally cleaned. This is the pivot arm. Looks good. It's really cool. Solid brass. Here's those Babbitts. They look really good. I think all these bolts should be changed for new ones. Here's the shims that were for these Babbitts, just like cardboard. There was a really thin brass one here, and then this really long thin one was on this side for the smaller bearing. But this is kind of neat. Got this brake pad kind of cleaned up. Not sure what the right term for it is. It's like a brake pad, but it's interesting how they hold this in with copper roofing nails, and then on the inside they bend the nail over to hold that on. So I just think that's kind of neat. All the bearing surfaces are cleaned up with 600 grit paper, and yeah, pretty much ready to start working on some of the other stuff. Just gonna go work on this hoop right now. This really bad crack. I'm gonna grind this out, get to the root of the crack, and then just fill it in with weld. And then I got the bend out of it already that was in there, but this arm is not flat, it's crooked like that, so I'm going to get that hot and bend that back, but I'm going to weld it first. Look how deep that crack went in there. Chasing that all the way down, it's damn near through. All right, guys, just going to go ahead and fill this defect up with wire now. All right, so that's full of wire. Now we'll just grind that flat. All right, so that's all fixed. Done with that. Now we're just gonna bend that thing straight. All right, try to give you guys a look at what I'm talking about here. You can see that this side of the hoop is sloping down right there, and that's because this one is bent right here. So I'm gonna get it hot with the torch, take that bend out so those two pins will line up again. And then there's a buckle, there's a slight buckle right here where the hook for the where the bolt for the return spring and the rod that controls the forks go. So I'm going to try to take that buckle out of there too. Back to somewhat straight now, and I think that's going to be real good. Much better now. I'm just going to try to take this buckle out of this one now. All right, guys, so that's going to be pretty much it for part 2. Pretty much, I think the next thing we're going to be working on is just got the raw materials to remake the pins and remake that that trip lever for the that connects to the pedal to the forks. But yeah, everything's looking pretty good. This is pretty well straight now. Pretty happy with the way that came out. That's going to be much better. Going to press down evenly now. It's gonna be held in there evenly. So this is what we're looking like so far. And like I said, just the raw materials now to start fabricating parts and stuff. So probably end up working on this part next. Get that off of there and get the one that's going to be there on there.